15th Johor state election. Sarawak to produce its own skilled manpower. FARAH bids farewell to gymnastics. Those are the headlines for tonight. You're now with me, Shamilato, and this is TVS Nightline. The development of skilled human resources was one of the main drivers towards the development of the hydrogen economy. To ensure the success of the state government's hydrogen economy agenda, Sarawak needs to produce its own skilled manpower.
Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng said, in that regard, Sarawak needs to have institutions of higher education as well as vocational and special skills training centers to develop the skills in this new technology. He said this in his speech at the Sarawak Skills and International College of Advanced Technology Sarawak's 24th convocation ceremony, which was read out by the State Education, Innovation and Talent Development Minister Dato' Roland Sagah Wee In. Abang Johari elaborated that globally, hydrogen gas was anticipated to become the primary energy source in the future, and for that, Sarawak had begun implementing hydrogen-powered projects, especially involving buses and cars. He added that some foreign investors have also made a commitment to build a green hydrogen gas production plant in Bintulu, with hydrogen products to be exported, especially to Japan.
ICAT's University College is set to build a second campus near Kampung Trombol at Telaga Air in Kuching. Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng said the aim was to provide more opportunities to all Sarawakians, regardless of race or religion, to obtain education in terms of academics and skills.
ICAT University College do not discriminate on the basis of race or religion. Even if it is located in other vicinities. The element of favoritism doesn't exist. As it is not only made for all, as it is not only made for all communities in Sarawak, but also targeted to students internationally.
Sagah added, ICAT's University College is developing various programs at the undergraduate, master and doctoral levels in an effort to support the economic sectors or key growth in the state.
These programs are aligned with the Sarawak post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030, or in short, PCDS 2030. For example, recently it has been launched. It has launched two programs, namely the Bachelor of Science Honours in Agro-Technology and Bachelor in Tourism and Hospitality with Honours.
Last year, ICAT was recognized as a university college after receiving approval from the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia.
Infrastructure development in Sarawak needs to be implemented in a more innovative approach, taking into account the geographical factors of the state. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dr. Ahmad Douglas Uga Amba said an innovative approach is vital to ensure that there will be no more delays for development projects due to the natural topography and terrain in Sarawak.
Citing the road construction in Laya as an example, Uga said the project was taking a long time to complete because of the need to flatten the hills first before the actual construction was done. He said that such matters need to be resolved immediately and hope that agencies such as the Public Works Department or JKR can monitor the development while giving emphasis on new innovations for any construction project in the state. Quoting the report by the Borneo Messenger on Friday, UGA also suggested that the logging roads in the state be upgraded to facilitate the movement of residents from the inland areas. UGA assured that the Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS government is always concerned about rural developments. This was proven when 64% of the 2022 budget was allocated for rural development purposes.
A total of 585 pigs were culled due to the detection of African swine fever or ASF at 2 commercial pig farms in Miri. The 2-day operation involved several governmental agencies led by the Department of Veterinary Services, Sarawak or TVSS.
Minister of Modernization of Agriculture and Regional Development, Dato Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Utom, in a statement said that the operation was carried out to curb the spread of the ASF outbreak. He added that the culling operation was in accordance with approved culling procedures and that sanitation work were also carried out at the 2 farms to ensure that the transmission of the outbreak can be controlled effectively. Rundi also urged the public to only look for the right information channel if they have any questions or inquiries regarding the ASF outbreak. Any updates on the ASF outbreak can be obtained from the official website of the Sarawak Department of Veterinary Services or contact any Sarawak Veterinary Services office.
The shift of the country towards the endemic phase, which will commence this coming April, is definitely a relief for all, especially towards the relaxation of Standard Operating Procedures or SOP. Now, through TVS's survey, there were most of the community who now can breathe a sigh of relief as the transition returning to normalcy after battling with the COVID-19 pandemic. For Azimuddin Shafi'i, he responded positively towards the latest announcement. At the same time, he is also enjoy when Islamic religious activities are allowed without any restrictions of social distancing, which will bring back the situation before the pandemic.
Alhamdulillah, apa yang dah dimaklumkan kerajaan pada beberapa hari itu berkenaan dengan pembukaan sempadan, pendapat kami bagus untuk kita, bagi kita merancakkan balik ekonomi yang kita yang si bapa nak menentu tu. And then dalam padayanya dapat meningkatkan balik industri ekonomi kita tu, industri pelancongan kita tu. SOP di masjid pun sama juga dah ada beberapa perkara juga yang dah dimansuhkan. Alhamdulillah, kita boleh merapatkan balik saf-saf kita di dalam masjid. And then bagus juga memandangkan si lama lagi mau puasa tu dapat kita mengarahkan balik masjid kita tu untuk solat tarawih, untuk solat malam, insyaAllah.
For Adi Ilya, the endemic phase will expect more programs to be held as this will bring a positive impact, especially towards Sarawak's economy. In her opinion, we are already living with the virus and it is finally time for lives to go back to normal.
I think it's a great idea that the government wants to open the borders, mainly because we need the incoming tourists and tourism, both domestically from Semenanjung and also internationally, because it'll have the biggest impact to the economy and to the livelihood of people.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced the latest development of the country to transition into the endemic phase after battling with the COVID-19 pandemic for almost 3 years. This was after taking into account feedback and risk assessments by the Health Ministry, as well as studying the recommendations of the Ministerial Quartet. Meanwhile, the transition to endemicity phase is an exit strategy that will allow Malaysians to return to normalcy after almost 2 years of battling with the pandemic. One of Sarawak's favorite local seafood, bubur, brings the krill shrimp season back in its annual peak. Aside from its harvest for local shrimpers, the season is also a potential tourist attraction in Miri. According to Senadin Member of Parliament Datuk Seri Lee Kim Shin, his parties are in discussions with the Miri Municipal Council MBM to build a local square in north of Miri.
Pesta ini memang mempunyai satu potensi yang besar. Kerana kalau kita lihat di seluruh Sarawak, Miri lah yang paling sesuai untuk mengadakan pesta itu. Dan kita ada satu pantai kita panjang sekali dari Pulau Baram sampai ke dekat Ciputi. Seluruh pantai ini ada pupuk. Berapa tahun saya sudah ada cadang dengan Majlis Bandaraya yang Tuan Haji Muhammad juga. Kita juga membagikan sini satu esplanade juga seperti Lock Bay. Kita ada satu di selatan, satu di utara. Jadi waktu satu ini kita buat satu esplanade selatan Bandaraya Miri. Itu di utara, selatan sudah ada, kita ada satu di utara sini. Ini kerana akan menjadi satu tarikan pelancongan. Jadi selain daripada datang ke sini, dan kampung sini, kita juga ada pembuatan yang baik untuk tarikan pelancongan.
At the same time, Lee also urged local hawkers to commercialize their krill shrimp products in the market. In another development, Lee also informed regarding the Coastal Erosion Control Project, which is being carried out by the government, with the aim of the project to protect the beach from being corroded due to strong currents of waves. The fortress will also serve as a place for tourists to see how fishermen catch krill shrimp in the sea. Welcome back to the Nightline. This just in, an official update on the 15th Johor state election. Barisan Nasional or BN has secured a 2/3 majority in the Johor state election to form the state government with a big mandate. As of 11:42 p.m, official results confirms that BN has won 36 out of the 56 seats up for grabs. The Johor election is considered historical for Malaysia, with the implementation of Undi 18 taking place for the first time, where young Malaysians aged 18 to 20 years old are eligible to vote. The State Legislative Assembly was dissolved on January 22nd and nomination was held on February 26. Having the opportunity to vote for the first time in the Johor state election today clearly gives a feeling of excitement for young voters, especially among those aged 18 to 20 years old.
In an effort to fulfill their new responsibilities, young voters were seen arriving at polling centres early to exercise their rights in the formation of the new state government. An 18-year-old voter, Nadia Nur Aisha, said despite being nervous, it did not stop her from showing up at Sekolah Kebangsaan Taman Sutra Perling to vote. Meanwhile, Sanjina Anathan, an 18-year-old voter, said the voting process was carried out satisfactorily by the Election Commission EC. According to Lim Chia King, a 19-year-old voter, he was feeling nervous at first. However, his sense of responsibility as a Malaysian citizen had prompted him to come out and vote.
Sangat exciting yang first time boleh macam buat ini.
Tapi you rasa takut-takut masa mengundi tadi?
Tak, saya ada tanyakan parent kan tentang hari ni mau buat apa.
So you datang seorang ke macam mana?
Saya seorang datang. Ya.
So your parents tak mengundi kat sini?
Mereka sudah buat.
Following the Johor state election earlier, voters show a great support during the voting process, as what was stipulated by the Election Commission or EC and the COVID-19 Standard Operating Procedures SOP was complied to with great ease. Now here's what voters in Johor had to say earlier.
Alhamdulillah dah tengok jalannya lancar lah. Tu. Saya tengok tahun yang lepas pun macam ini, tahun ni pun alhamdulillah juga lah macam ini. Sama je lah.
Tak ada masalah tu.
Tak ada masalah. Tu.
Alhamdulillah. Proses dia lancar, tak ada masalah lah. Cuaca pun okey, baik kan. Kita semua ni dah uzur kan. Alhamdulillah, mesti boleh jalan. Kita orang Felda tak pernah terkecuali lah. Yang adalah seorang dua tu, tapi tak ramai lah. Kalau macam kita ni excited lah, nak tanggungjawab, nak melakukan tanggungjawab kita kan.
And now on to the next update. An elderly man collapsed and died at one of the Johor state election polling centres in Muar district today. According to Muar District Police Chief ACP Zaharuddin Rasip, initial investigations revealed that the 78-year-old man collapsed and lost consciousness, with his death verified by a medical official present at the site. In a statement, Muar Police Chief said the investigation carried out so far shows no criminal elements were involved and the deceased has been taken to the hospital for further action. He said the case was classified as a sudden death report (SDR) and police are investigating to identify the cause of death. To avoid creating misconception and public anxiety, he advised the people not to share information on the case without police confirmation. The COVID-19 vaccination for children aged 5 to 11 is crucial, particularly as the country will begin the transition phase to the endemic phase on April 1st. According to the Ministry of Health (MOH), children are now more at risk of getting COVID-19 infections, as they have not received proper protection compared with the older age groups who had been vaccinated.
Additionally, MOH in a statement said the admission rate of children to pediatric intensive care unit wards due to COVID-19 has increased by 94% for categories 3 to 5, with a significant increase category 4 by 200%, followed by category 5 by 125%. MOH once again advises parents to take their children for vaccination to protect them from the deadly Omicron variant and its complications, namely multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children or MISC.
Moving on to the next highlight. There is ample supply of self-test kits in the market, and the public should refrain from panic buying and hoarding the COVID-19 self-test kits.
Malaysian Medical Association MMA President Dr. Koh Kar Chai said there is no need to do the self-test on daily basis unless it is indicated due to the nature of a person's work. Commenting further, he said though the accuracy of the self-test kit may not be comparable to the professional's antigen rapid test kit RT-KAG and reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction RT-PCR tests, however, the self-test kits are useful in picking up symptomatic cases.
Thank you for staying with me. Now, National Artistic Gymnastics Queen FARAH Abdul Hadi has officially called it a day from the sport. Announcing her retirement on Facebook today, she described her amazing journey in the sport over the past 25 years as being a ride of a lifetime. FARAH reminisced her journey as a gymnast on her Facebook post, describing that she is finally ready to bid farewell to competitive gymnastics after 25 years of being active with the sport. The Selangor-born athlete said she was glad to retire on her own terms, especially after competing in the Tokyo Olympic Games 2020 last year. The 27-year-old Olympian also took the opportunity to express gratitude to the sport and the people she met along the journey for all of the wonderful memories, experiences, guidance, love, and support she has received. Despite saying her goodbyes, Farah Ann said she would always continue to be involved in the world of sports. Farah Ann, who made her debut with the national team in the 2010 New Delhi Commonwealth Games in India, is among Malaysia's top performers in the regional SEA Games. The gymnast accumulated 7 golds, 2 silvers and 3 bronzes from 4 editions of the biennial games, with the 2019 Manila SEA Games in the Philippines being her best outing, as she bagged 3 gold medals in the floor exercise, uneven bars and individual all-around events. And now on to another development. European champions Chelsea are now effectively under the control of the British government after Russian owner Roman Abramovich was placed under sanctions on Thursday, March 10. Abramovich, who had been under scrutiny following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, had announced he was selling the Premier League club last week. Yet that process is now on hold, leaving the club ranked by Forbes as the 7th most valuable in world soccer at $3.2 billion in a state of limbo. The Russian bought the West London team in 2003 for a reported £140 million, or 765.66 million ringgit, and his investment contributed hugely to the most successful era in the team's history, as they won 5 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups and the Champions League twice. His purchase of the club helped transform the landscape of English football, with Chelsea breaking the stranglehold of Manchester United, Arsenal and Liverpool. Abramovich had funded Chelsea via £1.5 billion in total loans through Fordstam Limited, the entity through which he owns the club. In their most recent accounts in December, Chelsea, who reported losses of £145.6 million, said they were reliant on Fordstam Limited for its continued financial support. Yet now there is a huge question mark over the club's future. Chelsea, the Premier League, and a spokesperson for Abramovich did not immediately respond to requests for comment. A number of potential new owners had emerged in the past week, including several American sports executives. However, there is now a block on any sale. Potential buyers will now have to wait to see how any eventual legal appeal from Abramovich plays out, and whether there is any change in stance from the British government in the coming weeks and months. Meanwhile, Chelsea are now operating under a special government license, which allows some exemptions to the asset freeze restrictions in order to allow the West London club to fulfill their fixtures. The twin baby pandas of Francis Bovell Zoo walked for the first time on soil, grass and rocks on Friday, March 11, as they were finally allowed to their outside enclosure 7 months after their birth. The cubs, named Yan Tutu and Juan Lily, took baby steps to discover the pen and their wooden playground, sometimes stumbling, guided by 2 zookeepers. Born in August 2021, the baby pandas were introduced to the public in December and had Paris Saint-Germain soccer star Kylian Mbappe and Chinese Olympic diving champion Zhang Jieqi as godparents. The cubs' parents, Huan and her partner Yuanzi, came to France on loan from China in 2012. Their arrival was hailed at the time as a sign of warming diplomatic ties between Paris and Beijing. And that feature concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shosha Meto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend.